What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Chris. Welcome back to the Sparkplug channel. Today's video is about the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, Philly's in a bit of a weird spot. Well, actually, they're in the worst spot. They've been a first-class dumpster fire this season. Whether it's Jared McCain, who was the leading candidate for Rookie of the Year, getting injured for the entire season, or Paul George playing like he should be making $50K instead of $50 million, or Tyrese Maxey having to shoulder the entire workload of this team, Joel Embiid constantly being hurt, and just the fact that now you may potentially lose out on a great coach in Nick Nurse because, you have to blame somebody. But the thing that's leaving the sourest taste in Sixers fans' mouths and their front offices is the fact that the Oklahoma City Thunder own their first-round pick. I mean, right now they're on a 9-game losing streak, and they have the NBA's third-worst defense over that stretch in a terrible offense. They're in conversation with teams like the Hornets when it comes to how bad their defense has been. And it's a shame that this season's been such a disaster because, look, they hit on the Gershon Yabusele signing. That was huge. You got him on the minimum. He's going to be a guy who might make $10 million next year in free agency. You also hit on picking up Justin Edwards on a two-way contract, a guy who was considered to be a top 3 pick, went to Kentucky, didn't pan out, and then signed a two-way contract with the Sixers after going undrafted. Now look at him. Honestly, folks, I think it's just time to press that red button, Daryl Morey, and blow the entire thing up. You started going into this past offseason, with $50 to $60 million. People were like, are they going to sign 2 to 3 really quality role players like a Malik Monk and a Klay Thompson, or build a good young, or not a good young core, a good core of role players with that allowed cap space? But you know what they did, and we all know it. A lot of people, including myself, were fans. You brought around the idea that, but they could just go out and go for that star push, which will really help them in the playoffs when they need that third guy to go to. And they did. They signed Paul George to a 4-year contract for a huge amount of money, $210 million. And he... they made it clear, the first 2 years of this contract are going to look great. He's going to be there. We're going to be competing for championships. We might even win a championship, and that'll make it worth it. When he's 37, 38, and he's still making $50 million, we can bite the bullet because we gave our fans and our supporters a good team for at least that 2-year run and built something good around Joel Embiid. Well, it hasn't worked out that way, and I don't blame them for that. I don't blame them for signing Paul George. He was averaging like 23 points per game last year. He was shooting 41% from 3 on almost 8 attempts a game. And he was still an all-star. Like, he was a really good player last year. But this season, not so much. He's averaging 16 points per game. He's struggling to fit into that third option role. And then when they do need him to be a second option, it seems like he's just taking the ball out of Tyrese Maxey's hands too much. And on his 6 3-point attempts a game, he's only shooting 35%, which is not what you signed him to be doing. And he's kind of in a state where I think he's probably the most untradeable player in the NBA because no team really wants to take on him in that contract in any sense because, his name has been tarnished. Paul George is really going to be known by a lot of a generation as playoff P or podcast P. And it's disappointing in the sense that, he was so amazing for such a long time, but it is coming to an end. But that's enough on Paul George. We'll transition from a guy who's untradeable to a guy I think is extremely tradable. Joel Embiid. The 2022-2023 MVP, Joel Embiid, has only played 19 games this season. And I'm not one of those people who thinks it's his fault he's not playing. And I don't necessarily have an issue with his play style. Do I think the foul baiting is annoying sometimes? Yes, but it's part of the game now, and we have to understand that as enjoyers of basketball. And a lot of people want to say, like, he's just sitting out because he's lazy or he doesn't care about basketball. This dude's a professional athlete. This dude wants to be out there competing. If he could play right now, he would. His body is just not letting him. So my words of advice to you, Sixers front office, Daryl Morey, Elton Brand, all you guys, make up back surgeries for Paul George. Let him sit out the whole year and get Joel Embiid some knee surgery and a back surgery and a leg surgery and whatever surgeries he needs to get him out for the rest of the season and to make him better for next season. And I think with the fact that OKC owns their pick and it's top 6 protected, they need to do everything they can to get that pick back. Whether they do get a Cooper Flag if they keep their pick or an Ace Bailey, which would be the dream fits for this team. If you get a Kaman Malawach or you get I'm blanking. Maybe a Trey Johnson. I don't know. But just continue to pile on the young talent because Tyrese Maxey can be the 1A on the championship team, I believe. Folks, if you made it to this point in the video, I just want to say I'm very sorry. I meant to say a 1B on a championship team, not a 1A. And as hard as some of you may think it may be to trade Joel Embiid when he's coming off a season where he's probably going to play no more than 25 games to 30 games, it's not going to be hard. There's small market teams that are always desperate to get a star player. I think a great spot for him would be the Atlanta Hawks. That would be awesome to see him, Jalen Johnson, and Trae Young playing alongside each other. A team that could also get desperate is the Orlando Magic, a team that may just be sick of seeing Wendell Carter play minutes at center. The Charlotte Hornets could get really desperate to put a star around LaMelo Ball before he decides to request a trade and build a mini big three of him, Brandon Miller, and Joel Embiid. One I really like with the move they made at the deadline is the Toronto Raptors. You know, you have a connection and ties between Masai Ujiri and Joel Embiid. Why not make that happen? Or even the Indiana Pacers, the Cameroonian connection between Pascal Siakam and Joel Embiid. We saw Tyrese Halliburton and Embiid talking in the summer at the Olympic team about it, joking around. Why not? See, I just gave you 5 spots of where he could play next season if they wanted to trade him this offseason, which they should. I mean, this is a guy who it's not his fault, but his injuries are setting your franchise back and you're wasting countless years. And the main reason I'm pushing for this youth movement is because you have Tyrese Maxey, because you have Jared McCain, because you've shown you're pretty good at evaluating talent. You found guys like Ricky Council, who's one of my favorite younger glue guys in the league. You found Justin Edwards. You found the robbery that you made on the trade deadline in getting Quentin Grimes, who's been awesome for the Sixers and was awesome in Dallas all season. I have a video about how much money he's about to get paid. Like, that's a really good start to this young team. You pair that with a top 6 pick that you're getting back from OKC and whatever you're getting from Joel Embiid, because I'd assume there'd be young assets in there. You're set. You have a great future ahead of you. It's time to call it quits with the process. It's time to tear off that Band-Aid over a bullet wound that is the trust the process era. And it's time to move on from Joel Embiid and start things fresh if you're the Philadelphia 76ers. That's all I got for you today, folks. Let me know what you would do if you were the Sixers down below. I am so heavy on them just trading away all their aging players. Obviously, you can't trade away Paul George, but definitely trading away Joel Embiid and starting fresh around Tyrese Maxey. For Chris Lambert, this has been the Spark Plug. Hope you have a great day, folks. Take care.